Hey, can we just talk about Venezuela and South Africa? Because I think we need to learn from what is going on there. I want to make an appeal to Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC, the Central Committee of the ANC, to immediately disband the coalition with the DA. They must immediately, with right now, today, they must disband that coalition. That coalition is bad news. You are inviting the future nightmare for this country by continuing with this alliance. And then you need to immediately foster a coalition with the EFF and with the MKO and the MK party and form a powerful 65% majority party in this country, coalition party in this country. The reason I say that is we've learned now from Iran and from Venezuela, it's the fifth column that's going to be the undoing of our country. It's the fifth column. It's figures, characters like the DA, like Helen Zille, it is Zionists that are beholden to Israel, that are beholden to the West, that want to continue the new form of colonialism, that are at the head of selling out these countries, the countries that have decolonized to the West, and to put them back in chains. And the ANC, you are playing with the future of our children. You are inviting another 300 years of colonialism and apartheid. You need to right now convene the Central Committee, and you need to disband this coalition, and you need to form that coalition of the patriotic forces so that we can close ranks for once and for all. Don't repeat the mistakes of our forefathers of selling out this country for a few cattle, for a few cows, and for a few trinkets of gold and for a barrel of wine. Stop selling out this country. Take a principled step so that you will die honorably and not die in infamy as sellouts, people that have hosted and welcomed the colonizers back to South Africa. You need to make that move right now. That is the best protest that South Africa can show, is to marginalize the DA, marginalize all these forces in South Africa that are making under the table agreements with the West. And if Ramaphosa doesn't want to do it, then you need to get rid of Ramaphosa, ANC. And if you don't do it, then we will forever blame you for the direction that this country will take in the next few years. That's an urgent call. Please, please take this seriously.
You know how there have been so many random accounts on Twitter talking about how it's the end of South Africa as we know it, how South Africa is about to crash and burn because of the ANC, how BEE policies are destroying the country, a lot of them claiming 140 something race laws in South Africa are marginalizing white people, how white people are being killed in South Africa without any substantiated evidence. See, even how the lobbying for AfriForum voices from Orania and other institutions becoming more elevated. How so many of these Twitter pages and even YouTube channels have been spreading hate messages essentially about South Africa and drooling over how they all want the US to perform basically a regime change in South Africa. I just realized that is exactly why there has been such a major push for these things because they are coercing their soft power on the nation so that we can, for whatever reason, see political parties like FF Plus, DA, and the likes thereof as viable options for the South African people, but they are not. They only stand for a very tiny minority of the population, and those are the policies they will be constantly pushing for until they have the country in their control again. I've seen so many people post about how much better it was during apartheid, which is a very tone deaf thing to do, given how many people died, how many people had no control over their lives, given how many people received no education, no infrastructure upgrades. Look, whether we want to believe it or not, at the end of the day, the ANC has fought for a lot of the foundation of liberation of Black people to be able to enjoy and benefit from their country. Okay? We can debate that all we want and until we are blue in the face, but Black people from all of these Black patriotic political parties have actually fought for the rights of Black people to be able to function like people in their own country instead of being treated like animals. Okay? That is something we have to understand. We never, ever want to experience again. There are a lot of things that the ANC is doing wrong, but what you have to understand is that it is no different to what any other party most likely would have achieved by now. It's only been 30 years. People who had to fight every day to be recognized as people have been elevated to a place of control, and that takes time to transition into. It takes time. And within that time, there actually has been a lot of progress. We love to complain about minor inconveniences, but at least we don't have to carry documentation to go anywhere in the country. You can send your child to whatever school you want, and most of the time, you'll even get funding for it. You can work in any job you want. You can even start a business. You have the freedom of being unemployed or becoming a content creator or whatever you want to do with your day. You can actually do. You have access to land if you really wanted it. You can build your own crop farm, gun shooting range, biltong branch. You can even be involved in the business of South African minerals. You can mine platinum, diamonds, whatever, oil and gas, whatever it is you want to do, you can do. And that seems like progress to me. Were they going to get everything right from having absolutely zero power in 30 years? Of course not. Have people been suffering in 30 years? Of course, but less so. We have to understand this. If I may ask, how many people get up each day to make sure that the government works for them instead of just sitting back, crossing their arms, and just complaining about how everything is just wrong? If your street lights are not working, do you report them? If there are potholes, do you go to your nearest ward or municipality and engage with them until it is fixed? Do you? So, how do you expect anything to change if you do not actively engage in the country that you claim to be building? We cannot keep waiting for a small group of people to rise up and challenge the government, only for them to be targeted, silenced, or killed. This is not unique to the ANC either. It happened during apartheid, and it happens all over the world today. Power has always reacted this way when it's challenged by a few. We cannot expect 5 people to stand up for millions. That is not fair, and it is not realistic. Real change comes from numbers, comes from you and me speaking to municipalities, voting in ward elections, attending community meetings, submitting proposals, commenting on new laws, and sharing real information about what is happening on the ground in South Africa. That is how pressure builds. This is how things move. We're a community, and we all have to share the burden of growth. Otherwise, nothing changes, and you see more of these accounts trash talking South Africa and gaining more traction. Then all of a sudden, we want to get nervous and angry when AfriForum voices get louder and when they feel more emboldened because their lobbying is taking roots from the Western world. What are we doing? I have been seeing more and more of these voices on Twitter and YouTube, and they're probably on TikTok too. And what are they doing? They are spreading a message that prioritizes the needs of a small group above the needs of the majority. They keep talking about being marginalized while twisting real evidence of crime that many people across the country are experiencing and forcing it into a story about one group only. They take broad social problems and squeeze them into a narrow narrative, then point in one direction and say, hey, look over there, they're killing us. They use isolated examples like you getting a job as an executive and present it as proof. They say, look, they are being given our jobs. They ignore the years that you spent in school, the degrees that you have earned, the applications that you submitted, and the time it took before anyone even noticed you. Nobody gave you that job. You worked for it. You competed for it. You earned it. Still, they twist that reality into propaganda and claim that a white person is being marginalized and pushed out so that, in their own words, a black animal like you can take their place. It is deliberate, it is dishonest, and it is meant to divide people who are living the same hard reality in the same country. Is that right? You want more of that? Then keep voting for the DA, keep voting for the FF+, keep emboldening that message and see where it takes you in the next 30 years. It will take you back to a place where your job is taken from you and handed to someone with no qualifications again, simply because they are white and considered superior to you. It will take you to a country where the constitution no longer protects you, where your land is taken again, where you have no stake in your own country and no real power to stop it. Keep voting for them. Keep doing it if you want to live without any real financial leverage over your own life. Keep fighting for Starlink to enter your country so that you can be tracked by AI systems in banking, education, and commerce, all while being told that it is for your good. Watch how your business gets pressured and audited and slowly pushed to sell at a loss because you are not seen as worthy of dignity, honor, or fair treatment. Keep voting for them. Seriously, do it. And while you are distracted, you'll be playing directly into their hands as they move to replace the ANC, remove black voices from parliament, and reshape power entirely. They will do it with backing from the United States, Europe, and other global players who are busy fighting to restore systems where white people are prioritized over black people in their own countries and exported everywhere else. Are you not looking at what is happening right now? Right now, black and white people, and I'm using black people interchangeably here, so I'm not trying to offend anyone, but right now, black and white people and everyone in between can go out into the country and they are seen as human beings in front of the law. We can live, can speak, work, and choose freely in this country. And no one can take that away from us because our rights are clearly protected and grounded in the Constitution. But imagine that gets taken away. It may not happen overnight, but you get less of a say when you vote for someone who does not prioritize you as a human being because of your skin color. Someone who cries that you have the same rights as them. It's not all white people, of course, but many are backing a movement that does this to us, like this. Right? It holds our hands just enough to make us dependent instead of empowered. Instead of letting us feed ourselves and build our own systems and support our own communities, it gives us small portions to keep control. That slow drip is not help. It keeps people stuck, reliant, and unable to stand fully on their own. So keep voting for them if you have no pride in being a South African citizen with power to effect positive change in your country, because the power is yours right now. The ANC, EFF, and the whole lot of them may be corrupt. Which politician isn't? But we can change things one by one until it is done. They're not going to tell us, sit down, you, because what are we going to say in response? Don't even try me, right? Right? Okay. So by now you understand that with a transition of any major power, there will always be resistance. But if that resistance strips away your power, that's when we have to pause and think, what am I doing? Who am I listening to? And what is their end goal in feeding me this information? Do we want a regime change in South Africa where we lose our power effectively within the next 50 years as Black people and throw our children and grandchildren to the wolves? Or are we going to rise up and take that power and use it to make sure that no one can silence us ever again? I'm not trying to tell you to vote for the ANC, but they do have the majority right now, and the DA is hot on their heels. My point is about strategy. Taking votes away from the ANC only to concentrate them in the DA and FF plus camps may not lead to real balance or accountability. I would caution you to consider spreading the DA support across other political parties in parliament, especially those driven more by patriotic principles, not just this race or another, but the nation, South Africa, our land. These groups may not get everything right immediately because moving from little power to real influence takes time, but they stand for the values of the nation and they help prevent power from pooling in the wrong place again. Let's see what happens when we don't make power a race thing, but instead a challenging of ideals, because there are factions in government who are willing to challenge the ANC and its ideals, but they don't have much of a voice because you give their voice to the DA. Now the ANC goes unchallenged, and you want to cry. The sooner you understand that not all Black people function from a place of cadreship, the better you understand what the Rainbow Nation actually is. And you know what? I'm even including white patriotic people in the Black person narrative at this point, just to make that distinction until we can find language that doesn't divide us by race anymore. There are so many people in parliament who are working hard for you, but you don't want to recognize them. You don't want to prop them up so that they can represent you properly, because you have been fed the lies that if it is a Black person, it's probably corruption, right? I mean, I get it, but maybe, just maybe, that might not be the case. So ultimately, it's up to you to decide which of these ideas you want to play around with, which of these camps you want to put your power into, which of these factions you want to elevate as your representative in parliament. And right now, because of the elections, the pressure coming from Twitter accounts and YouTube channels is pretty overwhelming. They push you to ignore your instincts and abandon your common sense by insisting that everything points to the ANC stepping down or the country being destroyed. Ask yourself who is saying these things and who is funding those voices, even when they are or they appear Black. Sharing evidence that initially looks convincing and makes you pause and think like, hey man, but the ANC has been playing with us. I will always point out where the ANC, EFF, Patriotic Alliance, IDF, or any other party is fumbling, but I'll also acknowledge when they do something right. But a lot of these Twitter accounts and YouTube channels and TikTok pages don't. They only inflate the wrong things. Nobody gets everything wrong all the time. Otherwise, the ANC wouldn't still be in power after 30 years. Let's be so for real. But we cannot divide our power and throw it outside when we can divide it amongst patriots who are willing to challenge each other with ideals about land and resources, and who are going to use the voices we give them to challenge each other to do better, instead of pointing the finger at someone else saying, look, that Black person is destroying the country again. Because what picture does that leave us with?